This is the Flavor of Leadership podcast. I am your host, Clint Hoops. Together, we explore the unique blend of leadership wisdom that helps top leaders consistently achieve work goals, develop personally, and find fulfillment with family. Let's get started. Welcome to episode number 8. Today, we are going to be talking about gratitude and its impact on you as a leader. These times have truly been unprecedented in this year, and the struggle that most everyone in the world has encountered has also been unprecedented for many of us. The same has been true for our employees as well. I mean, so many of our employees are struggling and worried, and people worry about their jobs. Many have actually lost their jobs. Maybe one of you have. And it changes the way we think at times. And truly, all of this uncertainty about people's jobs and businesses can make it difficult to recognize all of the blessings and wonderful things that are around us. It makes me think about other people that have had hard times and struggles. I think about Viktor Frankl. So he's the author of the book, Man's Search for Meaning. This book, talks about Viktor Frankl and his time in concentration camp, and how a time that could have turned him bitter actually ended up working out to making Viktor Frankl a better man. He let the hard times strengthen him and change him for the better. And I think all of us want to seek to do the same, but it's hard to keep that perspective. Viktor Frankl actually said in that book, he said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So during this Christmas season, I can't help but be grateful for the many things that I have in my life and work, even with all of the uncertainty and the craziness that can be around in our world. We have right now some of our longtime holiday traditions and get-togethers with extended family that have been canceled for this year. And, other community events and school events and all these things that you look forward to as a family, and especially the kids. Many things have been canceled or changed or modified. And even with all of that, I look around at all of the challenges in the world and I think, okay, even with all of this, we are truly blessed and have so much abundance in our lives and in this great country. We have many things to be grateful for. Zig Ziglar, he said once, gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for. I believe that this quote is not just inferring that, more will come to us when we are grateful, even though I believe that's true. But I believe that when we have a lot of gratitude, it opens our eyes to the many blessings that are already ours. And so at this time, as we're considering what we're grateful for during this holiday season, during this Christmas time, let's think about how we can let that gratitude change us. I've been changed by gratitude in my life, where people have shown gratitude to me and where I've tried to show gratitude to others, or even just recognizing the things that I should be grateful for. I was once challenged to write a gratitude journal for 1 month. That was the challenge. Write something you're thankful for, at least one thing each day. So just slow down and recognize at least one specific item of gratitude in your life each day and just write it down. I said you can write it in your journal, you can write it on a piece of paper, didn't matter, just 1 month, make this happen. I decided to take the challenge. So I started writing down in my journal that I keep, and I started writing down at least one thing every day that I was grateful for. And it was funny, I'd have the intention of writing one thing, and before I knew it, I'd write down several things, and it was amazing that how many different things there were to be grateful for in my life that when I just opened my eyes and when I would try to keep that open mind about gratitude during the day, that man, when I sat down at night to write in that journal, the items would flow. Of course, not every day. Some days it was hard. There were hard days, and I'd have to sit there and think, okay, what is there today? For the most part, it helped me be more aware of the great things that were happening around me. The challenge was for 1 month, and it's interesting. After about 3 years of doing this, I realized how much it had changed me. I went past the 1 month and just kept going and going. And of course, I didn't get every single day, but most days during that time. And it's funny, as I'm sitting here now talking about it, it makes me consider beginning to do it again, actually. It can change you. Gratitude can truly change you. It's actually proven, in fact, that gratitude can change you. There are many studies on gratitude. One in particular that I found that I really like about how gratitude can have a positive effect and truly permeate all parts of your life was done by two professors, Joshua Brown and Joel Wong at Indiana University. A few years ago, they did a study, and they found, four specific findings that I wanted to share. They said, first, that gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. And I know I've seen that to be true. You have those emotions that just get you down. And there's so much negative in the world and so much opportunity to play into toxic emotions in our lives that honestly can impact our mental health. And they actually showed in their study that when people have more gratitude, that it does, in fact, impact their mental health. And these toxic emotions have a lesser place in their lives. Very interesting. Number two, they found out that gratitude helps even if you don't share it. So let me explain what that means by doing a little quote from the part of their article. It says, we told participants who were assigned to write gratitude letters that they weren't required to send their letters to their intended recipient. In fact, only 23% of participants who wrote gratitude letters sent them. But those who didn't send their letters enjoyed the benefits of expressing gratitude nonetheless. Very interesting, right? So even though they didn't send the letters of gratitude, just recognizing the things that they had to be grateful for and the people that they were grateful for, that appreciation alone, just writing it down, had the impact. Probably similar to my journal that I wrote in, right? Where I wrote those things down. I wasn't intending to send those to someone else, but just the fact of writing those down and recognizing had a huge impact. But I can't help but think that, that 23% that sent the gratitude letters, that they probably had an even greater impact on their personal lives, and undoubtedly a greater impact on those around them, right? And so in the end, it's in some ways it's a tragedy. Those people that did get the benefit of having the gratitude, they got that benefit, but it's so sad they didn't send those letters to the people. But man, those that did, I'm sure they saw an impact. All right, number 3, gratitude's benefits take time. So yeah, they said that it does take time. You have to be grateful for a while before it has an impact on your mental state and before other things. But they said that the effects were actually measurable and noticeable in as little as 4 weeks. Wow. So all they did was had people write, a letter about once a week for several weeks, but that it actually began to have a noticeable impact on their mental state, as well as, this is number 4, gratitude has lasting effects on the brain. So this is the other impact that they saw. They found that when they used an fMRI scanner to measure brain activity, that they found the positive effects actually changing the way that their brain functioned for the better. And their brain began to actually work differently. Now, I find that quite interesting. I'm sure that if it has positive effects with gratitude, I imagine not having gratitude or being negative or not appreciating people would have the opposite effect. It would impact your brain in another way, I imagine to be a negative way. And so in the end, those 4 things are quite interesting and measured. And so what can we do in our lives? We of course want to appreciate those around us, especially those that we work with if we're a leader. we have the wonderful opportunity to impact the lives of those that we lead. Whether it's a team of 2 or a team of 200, we have the opportunity to impact their lives. And appreciation and gratitude of those that we work with is just one of the ways that we do that. And it's an important one. It makes me think of a time a few years ago when our 4th child was coming into our home. We had him and we brought him back home. And I remember getting a package on our doorstep and opened it up and thought, oh, who is this from? This is interesting. And there was a note written at the top, a very nice handwritten note, as well as a couple of children's book. And I think even a little toy as well for our new baby boy. And this very thoughtful note and gift came from Spencer. And Spencer was a very busy man. And he is one that wasn't even the leader that I directly reported to, but he was one that I worked with nonetheless. And he's a very busy man, but a very amazing man and leader. I'm so grateful to Spencer. His thoughtful gift meant so much to my wife and I. And it's funny. I saw that book just the other day. My kids love reading it. One of these books that he gave to us. And every time I see one of those books that he gave us, I think of his extra effort that he did to make sure that I knew that he appreciated me and my wife and our family. And when I see those books, it makes me want to be more grateful for the people that I work with. And makes me want to stay alert for opportunities to do similar things for people on my team. I think of an employee that I've had in the past. We're going to call her Tina. Tina was a great employee. And, one time I saw Tina doing something great. She was just doing a great job in her role. And I decided to write her a pretty simple thank you note. And so I wrote a simple little thank you note, and I just left it on her desk for her to find. And it was funny. I mean, she did tell me thank you for the note, and I noticed that she put it on her wall. I thought, well, that's interesting. That's nice. She must have appreciated it. She kind of stuck it on her wall. And it's interesting. I left that place where I worked and was gone for a couple of years and came back a couple of years later and actually came and saw Tina and went to say hi to her. And that thank you note was still there in her office. Other things had changed. Other things were changed in the office, but that thank you note was still there on the wall. And she told me how much she appreciated it. And man, that let me just help me realize in my mind that how a simple appreciation for someone can go so far. I actually myself have a thank you note from one of my employees sitting in my closet right now. I was so grateful for this little note of appreciation that I set it there to remind me that even though I don't always, get appreciation as a leader, and people aren't always, my people aren't writing me thank you notes for me as a leader, that they do appreciate it. And I do have an impact. And to remind me that it's my role as a leader to appreciate them and to make sure they know that I care and that the things they do have an impact. Because it's really hard for us to remember that the things we do have a true impact if someone doesn't tell us and doesn't appreciate us. And that's our role as a leader, to do that and to help our leaders and our people that we work with do the same. So another way that you can show appreciation for someone that I've really loved is by appreciating someone they care about. So if you have an employee, appreciate one of their family members or a spouse. I've seen leaders that have done that have sent thank you notes to or gifts to a spouse or to the children of one of their hardworking team members or leaders. And I've seen the impact that has on not just the employee, or the leader, but on their family and their view of you as a leader or of the organization as a whole. Sometimes recognizing the sacrifice that a spouse or a family have to endure, when your employee is working hard, working extra hours to complete a project or under a ton of stress for a myriad of reasons in their job or in their role, really you can help them not, help the family and even the employee not resent, you as a leader of the company. And when they know how much you appreciate their effort and their work. And it never hurts any of us to know how well our family member is doing. I know it makes us feel good. It's like with my kids. I love hearing when people say, "Oh man, your child, they were so good at this, or they were so kind, or they were so, fill in the blank." And it makes me feel so good as a father. And I know the same is true when you appreciate your employee through their family. One of the other parts of appreciation that I think are so important is being specific in your appreciation. It really helps people know that it's genuine appreciation, and it reinforces the right actions for them, right? It's funny, the same things that work for kids, if you, work for us as adults as well, right? What's the best way to have your child always make their bed every day? Well, is to go and appreciate them and express gratitude and help show them, say, look what a great job you've done when they did it right. And so the same is true for all of us. When we recognize specific actions and show gratitude to our employees, they'll keep doing them because we all want to do a good job. And when our leader tells us it was a great job, goodness gracious, that's what we want to do. We want to do more of it. And so, the standard thanks for all you do, that's better than nothing. I'm going to say that. So yes, at least you're saying thank you. But the standard thanks for all you do is so general, right? But being specific, now that has a huge impact. And then use your thanks for all you do after you've been specific. It seems like it's better as part of a more specific message than the entire message, right? Does it take a little more thought? Yes, of course it does. There is a little more thought, but that's kind of the point. But I will tell you too, it takes a little more thought, but not a lot more time. Just a few more seconds. Really, just a few more seconds to sit and think, and you'll have something specific you can say. Have you ever written down a reminder to write a thank you note to someone and then you didn't do it? I know I keep my reminders in my phone, and sometimes that will happen. Put a reminder in and say, oh, that was so nice of that person to do this thing. Or, man, this person did so great at this thing. I want to make sure and let them know that I noticed and I appreciate it. And I'll put a little reminder, say, okay, when I get a few minutes, go ahead and write that down. And man, it's always hard when I look at my list and all of a sudden it's been, days and then weeks and sometimes even months or more since I wrote down a reminder to do something like that. Or I'll find a little sticky note that I had written down and put on my desk. Does this sound familiar to anybody? You get that good feeling. You think, okay, I need to do that. I need to appreciate that person. And you don't. So what do you do when this happens? Do you still write a note and send it? Even if it seems like it's been way too long, someone did something nice for you and you're going to write a little thank you note to appreciate them back and it's been months. Is that wrong to still write the note and say, hey, I know it's been a long time, but I wanted to still appreciate you? Or you notice somebody doing something great. Once again, it's been weeks or even months since they did it. Is it bad to write it late and just say, hey, I meant to do this and want to appreciate you still? I'm here to tell you, I don't think it's too late. I've done this on a few occasions where it has been way too long to appreciate somebody, and I did it anyway. And I wrote the message and I said, hey, I know this has been a long time, but man, I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you. Even though it's been so long since you did this, or since I saw you do this thing, or fill in the blank. Do it. Who knows? I don't know that it's ever too late for gratitude on those things. Makes me start thinking of Hallmark shows. With being the holiday season, Hallmark shows are something that my wife enjoys. I guess she enjoys them all year round. But specifically the Christmas movies for Hallmark, those begin playing in our house definitely before Thanksgiving. My wife loves them, and they're fun. They really are fun. They can be a little cheesy at times, I will say. They'll have all the town's names are Christmas themed, and the main character has a name like Holly or Noel or something like that. And it's kind of fun, but once again, as cheesy as it may seem on the outside, they can teach us some great principles of appreciation specifically. I once saw one of these Hallmark shows with my wife, and it was a Christmas one, and it talked about this daughter that she reached out. It wasn't even the main plot of the movie, but it was a part of the movie. And during the movie, it wasn't like she was estranged from her father or something, or that she never saw him. She just truly didn't appreciate him. And so the movie talked about how she, and kind of showed her kind of reconnecting and appreciating her father in a different way and reaching back out in some small ways, even though it'd been years since they'd really connected in any meaningful way. And it's amazing. After they did, what happened? Well, it seemed like their relationship was magically better, right? And you look at it and you think, that's just the movies, right? One day they're not connected that well, and the next day it's Christmas Eve and everything is great, right? And I know it seems kind of cliche and it does kind of seem just like magic in the movies, right? But I do believe that there is magic to appreciation and gratitude. Connection through appreciation truly can be magical for you and for the one that you appreciate as well. So take the time, even if it's been, a long time, or you feel like you need to still reach out to somebody. Don't let the length of the time get away from you from not being able to appreciate somebody. The holiday season isn't the only time to do it, but if we haven't done it during the rest of the year, might as well do it during the holiday season, right? So as we're seeking for someone to appreciate, I have a challenge for you. Seek to appreciate someone at work, one of your team members, someone else that leads with you. Find someone at work to write them a handwritten thank you note. Give them a handwritten thank you note. So you think, okay, right now I'm working remotely because of, COVID-19, and we're there's so much of this remote work, and, I can just write an email instead. And I'll tell you, if it comes to doing an email or not doing it at all, oh my goodness, do the email, right? Do the email, do a nice appreciative email to them. And it can mean a lot to someone. But if you can handwrite it and put it on their desk, or hand it to them in person, or find their address if you can and send it out to them in the mail, I'm telling you, it can be worth that extra effort to take the note, write it by hand, send it to them in the mail. It will mean something special for somebody and mean a lot to them. So go ahead. Promise you, it's worth it. All right. I hope you have a Merry, Merry Christmas if you're listening to this before Christmas. If not, we'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the Flavor of Leadership podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast player. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for us, you can reach me directly at flavorofleadership.com. Thanks for listening.